This is Omakase Toraburu Tenshi, a title that translates to Leave It To Us, Trouble Angel. It is an eroge that was meant to be released in May 27, 2005. But then it was delayed to June 24, then to July 29, August 26, September 22, September 30, and then it just went on to be delayed over 30 times, and it became legendary because of that. Because they kept saying it would get out when it didn't. This was meant to be the first game by the company, Bottomless, although most members of this company were part of a previous one called Meri Ken, and they had released a game prior to it called Trouble Trap Laboratory, so they knew how to make an eroge. On Bottomless website, you could see posts by members of the team. Akira, who was in charge of graphics, the artist in charge of the key drawings was Kanazuki Motofumi, who depending on the kind of person you are, you might recognize him by his doujinshi. In charge of backgrounds was Sori, and just like the last mentioned artist, some of you might recognize them. But really, these people only posted once. The one who really used the staff blog was the person who I believe goes by Gatanore-sama, the producer who was also in charge of coding and debugging. There is a post by them that I think might be quite prophetic. It was announcing that they achieved the Master Up, a term well used in the visual novel sphere that means a game is done and all is left is arranging everything to be sold physically. Just as we opened this website, there was an earthquake in Tokyo. It broke my favorite bowl. The moment I announced the Master Up, there was another earthquake. The day before the scheduled release date, there were talks about a comet hitting Earth. Could it be that I'm cursed? That was posted on April 2006. The game didn't release. Although at first, the posts were energetic, talking about the group going to events and how production was ending, it eventually started getting very apologetic. We found a problem. It's coming out this time. Sorry, actually, it isn't. We're doing an announcement soon. We found something just before release. We fixed those issues. We have achieved the Master Up. Again, it will be released next month. And 5 months later, another blog post saying we might be able to announce it and it might be sold. At one point, the update history of the website was just filled with postponements, and eventually there were less and less posts. In 2008, there were 4 posts on the blog. They added Vista support and changed the physical format from 2 CDs to 1 DVD. But then, silence. They might have thrown the towel. But then 8 months later, in May 2009, they updated the blog. There will be an official announcement. Again, until the end of the month, about the release of the game, as well as an updated version to the trial version of the game. I have a feeling there was an update, but it must be my imagination. It's real! I was ready to accept that there wouldn't be another update ever. Gatang is still alive! I'm happy just to know this. It's a miracle. Oh god. I can't believe it! An update! Amazing! I'm happy just by the fact that there is one. God damn it! Just with this I got the willpower to wait for another year. I see. How many months will it take for May to end? Incredible. Incredible. What's incredible is that people aren't happy by the contents of the update, but that there was an update at all. I can take that within this month means within this year, right? It doesn't mean within this century, right? Today is... Yep, it's April 1st. What a relief! Posted in the 8th of May. Now, May is about to end, but is there going to be an announcement before the 31st? Of course there wouldn't be! Yeah, there wasn't. And in actuality, that was the last blog post on the website. Ever. At this point, Omakase Trouble Angel had gained notoriety and became a member of what's known as the new delayed Four Heavenly Kings. It was composed of Omakase Trouble Angel, Oretachi ni Tsubasa wa Nai, which was announced in 2005, released in 2009, Sakura no Uta, with a release planned in 2004 but ultimately released in 2015, and Haru Haru, announced in 2006 and cancelled in 2008. If you're curious, the original delayed 4 Heavenly Kings were Snow, planned to be released in 2001 but released in 2003, Lovers, Koi ni Ochitara, also planned for 2001 but released in 2003, and apparently, if you googled Enki, which means postponement, the page announcing this game's postponement on its website will be the top link to appear. Next will be Clannad, planned to release in 2002 but released in 2004, and lastly Muv Love, announced in 2000, planned release in 2001, released in 2003. In 2009, the website Gauge.com announced the Gauge Awards 2009, where every eroge up to 2009 was up in the running. Over 7,500 works, and there will be 2 phases. The first to pick 20 works to proceed into the second round to be ranked amongst them. Omakase Trouble Angel, despite never releasing, it did quite well on the first round. As a matter of fact, it held the first place and never left until the end of it. Now, whether they won as a joke or not, it is unclear, but extremely probable. The organizers decided that because it would be hard to rate its value due to being an unreleased game, it wouldn't be allowed on the decisive vote, although Bottomless did receive an award. But they couldn't contact them, thus they couldn't give it to them, so they just uploaded it as a PDF and said, "Please download this, it's your certificate." Now, I mentioned previously a trial version. Yeah, people weren't just talking about this blindly, they were able to at least play some of it, and I was able as well. So what sort of story does Omakase Trouble Angel tell? The game starts with the protagonist, Kazuma, tied to his chair, and next to him there is a nun doing things to him that a nun shouldn't do. Turns out that nun is one of the girls Kazuma lived together with on an orphanage, Akio, but she went missing many years ago. She was about to do further things a nun shouldn't do, but is stopped by the sudden appearance of a red-haired girl who came to rescue him, followed by a spectacled girl with long black hair, resulting in the nun running away. They free him from the chair, he's able to put his pants back up,
そういうのが好みなの？変態。
and they had to escape the building. And what you're currently seeing is very likely the reason why so many issues were happening despite them having done a game previously. This game wasn't really just text-based, there was a system of free map movement within the game which might have been too ambitious for the producer who was in charge of coding and debugging as well. They meet with other girls and it is revealed that they received a fax asking to rescue him by the other girl that Kazuma lived together with in the orphanage, Haruna, who is also currently missing, and as members of an office that accepts any sort of work, they went to his rescue. The reason why he was kidnapped was because the orphanage was actually a secret religious organization performing experiments on the free orphanage kids without them knowing, which allowed them to develop superhuman powers by modifying their genetic code. The powers would only come to surface when they became a certain age because the source of those powers were in, let's say, their liquids, a very specific type. It is an eroge after all, and the reason why the nun kidnapped and tied Kazuma down was for the purpose of awakening their powers. Of course, Kazuma doesn't believe this, so the purple-haired girl commands him to get some powers out.
ほら早く、追っ手がやってくるわ。
It is an eroge after all. They collect a sample of his powers, and the way the purple-haired girl plans to use it is to load it on a modified imitation bazooka to use it on their escape plan. But the blonde girl finds a window that leads outside, and they're able to escape through that, although with some problems along the way.
胸が使えます。なんとかして。なんとかと言われても。
They're able to return safely to their office, but considering they don't know where Haruna, the person who requested Kazuma's rescue, is, the fact the secret religious organization and the brainwashed Akio will be after Kazuma, and the fact that he has nowhere else to go, it was decided by the purple-haired girl, who is actually the head of the office, that he will live with them under their supervision. And so Kazuma starts his days as a new employee of the office, helping them as well. Now naturally, this situation leads into the player picking a girl they're interested and going for them. It is an eroge after all. The red-haired girl is called Komachi. She is a classic tsundere who acts before thinking, as seen on the rescue scene, where she just barges into the room without thinking about what dangers might have lied there. She acts as the bodyguard / fighter, you could say, of the company and is quite confident on her physical abilities. She gets mad at Kazuma easily and frequently, is very against him living in the company. Also, in a quite classic and rather cliche scenario, Kazuma trips on top of her and steals her first kiss.
何？当たり前でしょ？ファーストキスよ、ファーストキス。乙女のキスにどんな意味があるか分かってるの？
Kazuma starts calling her Komachi-chan, although she gets mad when he does due to acting too intimate, but she slowly starts accepting him, being understanding that he doesn't have anywhere else to go. At one point, she stops noticing when Kazuma calls her Komachi-chan and she starts falling for him, although she herself don't really notice.
そう、ちょっと地下室に付き合って。それじゃあ小町、カズマをちょっと借りるわね。なんで私に？なんでかしらね。
The girl with glasses is called Shizuka. She's a girl that's collected and sees things logically. She is in charge of information gathering and analysis, frequently has arguments with Komachi due to her thinking before acting, the exact opposite of Komachi, although if Kazuma starts scolding Komachi or pointing out her downsides, she immediately switches gears into defending her.
確かに小町さんはそういう点があるのは確かですが、大抵その行動の速さはいい方向に作用しているんですよ。頭の回転は速いから普段はそれほど大事態にならないで済んでるんです。ただの慌てんぼではないですよ。小町さんの行動力は事務所の財産です。ただのお漬物とは違うんですよ。
そうそう、私は貴重な人材なんだからね。
On the trial version, you could see the subplot of her being a glutton unfolding. She thinks she could eat a whole chicken by herself.
食べられるかも。
She sneaks into the kitchen and gets surprised Kazuma is there and tells him to go take a bath. Kazuma does wonder why she went there at that time, and it would all lead up to eventually Kazuma finding out she sneaks into the kitchen to eat food in secret. Although this was not in the trial version of the game, it is easily inferred by a sample CG in their website. The green-haired girl is called Mutsumi, and she's the oldest and biggest worker of the group in many ways, and has been here since the office was a detective office ran by the Gofurori's father. She is very introverted and takes care of cooking and finances, alongside being the driver as only she has a permit. She keeps a distance from Kazuma because she has a fear of men. It is not explicitly said why that is in the trial version, although it is easily inferred why that's the case. One of the reasons why she works on that office is because she could live in there and thus avoids public transport. And although she is easily overwhelmed by lots of things,
何よ、むつみさんは関係ないでしょ。
むつみさん、ことは安全の問題です。いい加減にしておくわけにはいきません。
お茶でも飲んで気を落ち着かせませんか？私は落ち着いてるわよ。うっさいからむつみさんはあっちに行ってて。
when it comes to the office leader, she can become quite fierce.
所長になんかしたら いくらカズマさんでも許しませんよ。
むつみさん、
いいですか？所長に何かしたら何をしちゃうかわかりませんよ。
The blonde girl is called Himawari. She is one of those characters with a smile that shines as bright as the sun. Her name does mean sunflower. She acts and looks very young, with the exception of her chest, and is also very innocent. She loves making people smile and tries to always make things have a bright mood. But she is also very perceptive and kind. She skillfully stops a fight between Komachi and Shizuka by baiting Shizuka into thinking about food.
ねえねえ、カズマちゃん、残り全部食べちゃっていい？
むつみさん、私の分のお茶もあります？
ありますよ。 お告げしますね。静香ちゃんも食べる？
はい、食べます。
She comes to aid Mutsumi when she gets scared by Kazuma and tells him that he shouldn't stay behind her because she's bad with that, while avoiding telling the reason why she's bad with that. When Kazuma is worried about his position on the company, she soothes him and tells him he's doing good. He is supporting the chief properly and he shouldn't worry about things like that.
だからつまんないことは気にしない。そうだよ。カズマちゃんはカズマちゃんね。
And even seem to be aware that Komachi likes him. Just like Kazuma, she is also an orphan and got taken in by the previous owner of the office when her parents passed. Aira is the head of the office. She dresses in a gofurori dress and is a genius graduate from Harvard who inherited the office after her father passed and recruited the other girls to be employees and turned the office into a jack-of-all-trades sort of deal. She is composed and very knowledgeable and a little bit of a sadist. Seems to enjoy teasing Kazuma.
ひょっとしてカズマってまず
She is a bit of a mad scientist, doing things like researching Kazuma's powers and researching dangerous amoebas. Although she is a little smuglord, the death of her father and dealing with the company that young, it seems things were leading into showing that she was holding a lot inside of her from one of the CGs in the website, but we never get to that point in the trial version. As the days passes, you would have the choice to do work for the company, such as someone sending a request to play with her dog, or going around town to talk to NPCs, visit shops, and maybe even meet other members of the office. They don't appear much in the trial version, but it seems it was planned for them to appear more. There also seems to be planned events important for progression in certain routes. Of course, due to being an eroge, it has the types of scenes you would see in one, although in the trial version there aren't many that go too far, mostly in the form of Kazuma going to take a bath and stumbling across each girl changing, depending on what route you are. Reactions are pretty different depending on the girl. Komachi unsurprisingly beats Kazuma's ass up. Shizuka doesn't seem to mind, but that's because she believes she has no appeal at all and has a complex over her chest as seen in one of the CGs on the website. Mutsumi passes out while standing up, which is not the only time it happens on this trial version. Himawari just straight up invites Kazuma to get in with her, and of course he refuses. If you choose to, otherwise you do go in with her. It is an eroge after all. There is a surprisingly big amount of scenes with her on this trial version compared to the others. Aira also doesn't seem to mind that much and even invites Kazuma to go with her, but this time you have no choice and he refuses. She just seems to enjoy seeing him panicking.
案外まともな反応なんだ。
These scenes also lead to when Kazuma is doing his thing and they walk into him. Reactions also vary. For example, Komachi panics, but when Shizuka comes to see what's happening, Komachi starts covering up what's happening so nothing bad happens to Kazuma. Shizuka tries to act calm, but she is a bit shook, so she slams her face on the door when leaving, which makes her drop the wrapping of some cheese, which is another clue she has been sneaking some food. Mutsumi passes out again. With Aira, we get to see just a glimpse of her losing her composure.
何をやってるのよ。
But she goes back doing her teasing, even asking if Kazuma wants some help. Himawari helps, it is an eroge after all. The trial version ends with Kazuma dreaming of Haruna, likely taken by the same organization that kidnapped him. And he doesn't know if it was just a product of his imagination or if it was real, perhaps even a result of his powers awakening, but that's all we get from the trial version. Now, I'll just straight up say that nothing else came out afterwards. Ever. And that includes an announcement of the game being cancelled. If no one ever said, yeah, it's not coming out anymore, then hope is the last one to die, isn't it? But it's not like there weren't further updates, because for some reason the website eventually also sneakily added a release date for 2011, giving more fuel to the idea that the project might not be dead. But across the years, of course, that fuel started running out. Because of course it didn't release in 2011. But it didn't stop people making fun of it for years to come, like commenting in the behalf of the producer. I work hard this year as well. I kept it a secret, but actually, after the master up, just before the backup, the data was lost, so Makaten was gone. It seems that the Makaten sale is going to take a while, so I'll be progressing with the idle and the sleepover games. This comment is based on the fact Bottomless had more games planned to be released after Omakase Trouble Angel. And then someone decoded idle as idle, and sleepover read as otomari as stoppage. Wow, that's devious. What was Master Up again? Forgotten is like a greeting, not much different from good morning. Master Up, hehehe. Oh, today too was a good Master Up, wasn't it? Huh? Shizuka. Who was that again? This time is coming out, hehehe. I will not trust the things Katan say ever again. Huh? Omaten. Makaten. Yeah, there was something like that, yeah. How nostalgic. Of course, people are not only pretending to be the producer to make jokes. There was someone wondering what would come first, the construction of the Odono Bridge in his prefecture or the release of Omakase Trouble Angel. The bridge opened almost 6 years after that comment, the bridge won. I wonder if we're adding Windows 10 support. Hey, we lost. No wait, in a way, we won. Regarding Sakura no Uta, that released 11 years after being announced. Omaten's rival is Haruharu. Sorry. If we convert to bottomless time and space, it is currently the 125th month of 2009. A year has not passed. It's the 65th month, isn't it? Nope, it's the 2192nd day of May 2009. May is still not over. When I think it has been 10 years, I am filled with emotions. I want to convey my gratitude for Gatan who worked hard all this time. I wonder what we're doing to celebrate 10 years. I can't help but have expectations. Good for you, Bottomless-chan. You made a friend. Yesterday, we have announced the master up for Shoujo Ramune. However, in the current day, we have found flaws within the contents of the master up. Therefore, we had temporarily withdrawn the master. Even Doki Doki Little Oya-san 2 came out already. Gatan, come on now. It's okay, Haruharu is not out yet. Just release the CG and the voices, you can do that, right? If Kannazuki releases a CG pack, he can achieve Nirvana. Now that we got to this point, I'm starting to worry if there's really any development happening. Are you dumb? If it does come out, it won't be Makaten anymore. It will be something else that's similar to Makaten. This year also ended without any progress. Of course there wouldn't be any! I am still waiting for the game to be sold. Keep it up, Gatan. Could it be that this person is a bodhisattva? I just cannot imagine a future where Omaten goes to sale. Himawari is here! I downloaded Himawari Santa costume wallpaper. Huh? Why now? The resolution of the picture is old, but I downloaded it. Are you for real? They didn't mention anything about the delays in the release though. Komachi's Santa costume is too cute! You guys... I knew there wouldn't be anything, but I still had to check because what if? And now, it's just sadness. The pure me who goes check every time someone says there's an update even knowing there isn't one is also here, so please stop doing that. 10 years ago, there was an update on the official website. Really? I was a bait. Currently, there was an update on the official website. Really? I was a bait. Happy 40 years old to me. I think I was about 35 when I reserved the game. I forgot where I put my reservation slip though. Happy birthday! Congratulations! Oh, thank you! One of the things that kept people on edge, and really one of the reasons why people didn't fully give up, was the website. As you can infer, the website was still accessible, but it did go down once in a while. Bottomless public website disappeared? Did they forget to pay? Did they finally run away? They really brought it back as if nothing happened. They really had the nerves to bring it back. I thought that this time it was over. It's gone, or it gives back a 404. Is it temporary? Or rather... Is it the end? My Himawari-chan! Don't take away my life support! It's back. They really brought it back. They're definitely looking at this thread and commenting. There is one Gatang among us. Is it you? The domain is gone. It's probably back soon though. It's already this season. It's back. 404 not found. Again? Rather, I don't get the reason why they keep bringing it back up. Is it finally over? The time has probably came. I thought it would be back by Friday. It's back. It's back! Are they maintaining the site just for the sake of these threads? I feel like this will be repeating for the rest of my life. Yeah, the domain kept being paid for, people weren't sure if payment was automatic or not, but the website definitely lived on for a long time. The website went down again April last year, 2024. And it came back up! So, could you go to the website now? I don't think so. When I go there now, I only get a message that the website is under maintenance and it's been like that for a while. It might be gone for real now. But is it? Someone on Twitter found that the company name is on the list of companies that are not contactable by the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications, and they took that as a good reason to believe Hope is gone for good. Not like there's much left. Nowadays, it really is just a legend people like to remember and joke about. I wonder if my Omakase Trouble Angel reservation vouchers is still valid. It came out when I was cleaning my room, from 2006. There was jokes about the release of Mutsumi and the Gundam Seed movie, and they ended up becoming true. If things keep up this way, the sales of Omakase Trouble Angel is coming soon, isn't it?
Has Omakase Trouble Angel released yet?
Oh, father, what are you talking about? PC game Omakase Trouble Angel is currently back in development, sales planned for 2025, and this person posts something similar every year. I also found this lovely fanart from 2022 of that CG of Shizuka sneaking into the fridge, and it's quite interesting to see fanart for something that never officially got out. Besides this, I found some other stuff as well. There is a doujinshi from 2010 called I Saw This Faint Dream, and it starts with Kazuma getting the grand prize on one of those Japanese ball lottery things in the shopping district. A direct reference to a scene where you could choose a prize that you would like to win and would likely affect future outcomes in the complete game. One of the options is a trip to the hot springs. On this doujinshi, he gets a trip for 5, and of course that's not enough for all 6 of them, so he's left behind. However, Aira decides to stay behind as well. She couldn't leave one of the girls behind, and letting the person who got the prize having the short end of the stick wouldn't be appropriate as well, so her compromise is to stay with Kazuma. The scene of them going out is quite interesting because it is also based on a CG that was only available on the website. So the author was filling in the gaps to create their own scenario. There was also a RPG Maker game from 2019, also based on a CG only seen on the website. All other members are unavailable, so she goes by herself, investigates some suspicious man who has been taking recordings in the park. The game is quite short, but it's interesting to see when a fan game comes out before the main one. In this case, 14 years after its supposed release date. Apparently, the office safe code is 2005-0527. I wonder if that's referencing something. Another interesting thing I found is one guy started commissioning lots of Himawari fan art from around 2020 to this year even, 2025. And one of the artists he commissioned was Kanazuki Motofumi, the lead artist for Omakase Trouble Angel. That's one way to get your CGs, although their last request, finished in February of 2025, was a drawing of Himawari and Aira waving goodbye because even the website disappeared sometime in the later half of 2024. So it seems even the person who requested the art have thrown the towel regarding waiting for the release of Omakase Trouble Angel. Now that I touched the topic of the staff, I looked into if any of them ever said anything. Kanazuki Motofumi didn't seem to have talked about it, and I don't know if he ever mentioned anything in a previous deleted account. But once in a while, he seemed to make allusions to a time when he was working in an eroge that was postponed, and someone on the team said they should do an April Fool's joke, and the person in charge of graphics got mad at them. I'm not sure if this is a behind-the-scenes story of Omakase Trouble Angel, but it is quite possible. Another thing I learned is that apparently, whenever a voice actress is recording a sucking noise, they just suck really hard on their hand, with a straight face. I've only been in 2 eroge recordings, but on both times, it really was like this. So that's something nice to remember whenever you hear those sounds. The only other staff member that I could both find and mention Omakase Trouble Angel was the person in charge of the scenario, Ishiumi Tatsuya. It's not a book, but an eroge. But I want to get Omakase Trouble Angel and Trouble Trap Laboratory Return out. Or rather, I want them to see the light of the day. And the day after he said that, there was another tweet saying he was sleepy because Gatan called and they had a long phone call because he tweeted about Omakase Trouble Angel and he was kept awake. I'm not sure if that's a bad thing, but it doesn't sound good. That was in 2012. If I had $5 quadrillion, I would anonymously send money to game companies that seems they would abandon their projects. 10 million yen would be good. With 10 million yen, Omakase Trouble Angel will be completed. Alright, just to make clear, but my work with Omaten is already done. I might receive additional work requests though. That was in 2019 and his last tweet about it. Well, he doesn't seem to have anything to do with the delays, and the last time he mentioned the producer was in 2012, so I think this is the end. A shame, but really, it isn't crazy that a game gets abandoned for this reason or that reason. It was shaping up to be something quite nice, but in the end, it didn't. Not every story gets a happy ending, or an ending, who knows, it might still come out 2026, mark your calendars! Because really, all I'm doing is looking into something that interests me and sharing my findings in the end. I might not ever be able to finish Omakase Trouble Angel.
ちっちゃい言うな。どうも情けない反応ね。静香、こんなに情けないターゲットだなんて聞いてないわ。本当に本人か確かめた？
But I did enjoy what I played, so I think I'll try out Trouble Trap Laboratory someday.
ちっちゃい言うな。どうも頭悪い反応ね。カホ、こんなに頭悪いサンプルだなんて聞いてないわ。十分な知性を持っているか確かめた？
And I think that's all I have to say. See ya!